Hey everyone, I'm Jonah,
I'm Connor.
and welcome back to Rank and File Sports. Taylon Green is returning for his senior season for Arkansas after a just pretty mediocre season last year. He had 15 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. The Razorbacks ended up going 7-6, so honestly, a really solid season. They, I would say, exceeded the expectations of the general public. Probably from what I saw talking to their fans, they pretty much met their fans' expectations. I saw a lot of people say they get at least 7 or 8 wins. So overall, really great season for the Razorbacks last year. This season might be just a little bit tougher, but some improvement from Taylon Green at the quarterback position could definitely help them to make bowl games in back-to-back seasons. Looking at this schedule, though, it's got some very, very difficult games on here. Road trip to Ole Miss to start SEC play is not easy. Don't forget the non-conference matchup with Notre Dame, and then I don't need to list all of them, but there's a lot of really good teams on here out of the SEC. This schedule difficulty is going to be a 7.5 out of 10 with 6 games at home, 5 on the road, and 1 at a neutral site. Um, Connor will talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, starting the season off against Alabama A&M. Not much needs to be said here. 100% chance for the Razorbacks in this one. Couldn't tell you a thing about Alabama A&M, but based off of last season with how athletic Taylon Green looks like he is, I mean, the guy is 6'6", 230 pounds, and was the second leading rusher on the Razorbacks team last year. Obviously, he's definitely a gifted athlete. He just needs to develop a little bit more on the passing game. But with that talent, Arkansas should be fine. 100% chance in that one. Then there is that neutral site game against Arkansas State. This is kind of a neutral site game. So War Memorial Stadium is in Little Rock, Arkansas, rather than at Razorback Stadium, which is in Fayetteville, Arkansas. So for this one, I think it's just because this is an in-state game between Arkansas and Arkansas State, two flagship institutions. From what I researched, War Memorial Stadium is actually like Arkansas's secondary stadium, whatever that means. But it should be an interesting game for fans and just citizens of Arkansas. But overall, Arkansas should be the favorite in this one. They'll be the more talented team, 100% chance for the Razorbacks in this one. Then starting SEC play on the road against Ole Miss. Obviously, Ole Miss is losing a lot of key pieces on both sides of the ball. Most importantly, being Jackson Dart is out going to the NFL draft, climbing a lot of NFL draft boards, and I think is actually the number two quarterback, number three quarterback overall now. Um, so replacing him is going to be a big a big thing that Ole Miss is going to have to focus on, and they think they have their guy in Austin Simmons. He was a freshman last season. Should be fairly interesting to see how he develops over the course of the season. Having Arkansas as their second game, first home game in SEC play, is fairly easy. It could be worse. You could be playing LSU or you could be playing Texas or Georgia. So Arkansas will be a little bit easier for Austin Simmons to get into the rhythm, even though Ole Miss has a lot to replace because it is at home and because Arkansas was just around a 500 team. We're going to lean the home team in this one. Rebels are going to be favored, but this could be a very interesting game that can set the standard for both teams going forward. But we'll give a 35% chance to Arkansas in this one. Then they get a pretty decently tough opponent in non-conference going up against Memphis on the road. Memphis was a pretty solid team last year. I believe they're losing a lot of the key players that they had, including their starting running back and their starting quarterback. So that's not really a recipe to continue that success, but if the system around whoever comes in is good, they can still be a competitive team. Memphis has always been a solid team. But again, even though it is on the road, Arkansas is going to be the better team on paper. So we're going to favor them this one, giving them an 80% chance. Then they will come back to Arkansas to face Notre Dame, the runner-ups in the national championship last year. This is a tough game. Obviously, Notre Dame is replacing Riley Leonard at starting quarterback, bringing in a couple big recruits, couple key freshmen. I don't know if they got someone out of the transfer portal, but it should be a fairly good team regardless of what it is. And biggest thing that they're returning is Jeremiah Love is back at running back. Dark horse Heisman contender. So this Notre Dame team, along with how good their defense was last season and how it's probably going to be just as good, maybe a little bit weaker, but still just as good. This Arkansas team is going to have their work cut out for them at home. I don't see them winning this one. This is not going to be the Tennessee game, giving Arkansas a 20% chance to get a win at home going into their first bye week.
After that, going on the road to that Tennessee team that you just mentioned, obviously the Razorbacks pulled off a huge upset last season. The Vols are going to be looking for revenge this year. They've got it at home. Rocky Top going to be favored at about 75%. Then you got Texas A&M at home, another really solid team. Three tough games in a row for this Arkansas team. A&M, they got a lot of talent on that roster. It's really going to be about whether or not they can put it together. I think they had 8 wins last season. Really solid year. I'd say they were a better team than Arkansas last year. The fact that it's at home will help the Razorbacks a little bit, but we still like A&M here to be favored on the road. Only a 30% chance for an Arkansas win. Next up, Auburn at home. This one, we have it as a 50-50 right now. A lot of people are really high on Auburn as they're bringing in Jackson Arnold from Oklahoma to fill the quarterback position. I think Auburn is going to improve next year, which is why we're giving them a chance here on the road. Personally, I like Arkansas to win this game, but it's definitely one that could go either way. I might switch that pick, as we get later into the offseason. Mississippi State, this one's also at home for Arkansas, and this should be one of their easiest games of the year. The Bulldogs were absolutely terrible last season and most likely going to be pretty bad again this year. Give me the Razorbacks at a 90% chance to win. Following the second bye week, going on the road to face Garrett Nussmeier and the LSU Tigers. Nussmeier is one of the favorites to win the Heisman Trophy this season. He had a really solid year last year. LSU looking to improve, potentially make the college football playoffs this season after missing out by a couple games last year. The fact that this is on the road in Death Valley does not make it an easy game whatsoever. So only a 20% chance for a Razorbacks victory. It gets even tougher after that as Arkansas has to go on the road to face Arch Manning and the Texas Longhorns. Arch is another one of the top contenders for the Heisman Trophy next season. Obviously, there's a ton of hype surrounding him, given that he's the nephew of both Eli and Peyton Manning. And I think Texas is going to be one of the best teams in college football once again next season. They have the home field advantage. This is the most difficult game on Arkansas's schedule by far. Texas is going to be favored big time in this one, only a 10% chance at an Arkansas victory. And then closing out the season, they have Missouri at home. Missouri did win 10 games last season. However, if you watched our Missouri video, you would know that we're not super high on this Missouri team this season, given how much they lost last year. It's the last game of the season, so it makes it a bit more unpredictable. But we actually like Arkansas here at home. I think, there's a chance that they'll actually have a little bit more talent than this Missouri team, and the home field advantage is going to help them out a bit too. So give me the Razorbacks at a 55% chance to pull off the victory.
Yeah, overall, this is an interesting schedule for this Razorbacks team. Obviously, you said it at the beginning. There's a lot of tough SEC matchups on here, and their non-conference does not help their case because you're playing Notre Dame, who's just coming off of a national championship appearance. You're playing Memphis, who has been a very solid team and is not a pushover in this circumstance, especially for this Arkansas team that we have seen can compete with the likes of Tennessee last season. but also still finish with only 6, 7 wins. So I'm kind of torn going back and forth with Arkansas. I think that they have a lot of upside and their ceiling is maybe 8 wins, but that's in a really optimistic standpoint. I think based off of this schedule with having 3 tough road games, Tennessee, LSU, and Texas all on the road, that's tough. Those are like top 10 stadium environments that you don't want to play at. I think I think 6 wins, right around 6 or 7 wins, is probably where we'll see this Razorbacks team end up again. Really just depends on how that first SEC matchup against Ole Miss and that matchup against Memphis go to kind of dictate how the rest of the season plays out.
Yeah, I'm seeing probably only 6 wins for Arkansas as well. I definitely think they can make a bowl game, but there's very, very little margin for error. I mean, looking at the schedule, there's only 4 games there that are over 80%. After that, it drops down to 55. So making a bowl game is 100% dependent on beating Missouri and Auburn. Or if you lose to one of those two, you need to pull off an upset somewhere else. So it's definitely tough. I think Arkansas can do it, but 5 to 7 wins is probably the range that we're going to see the Razorbacks in. Last season, Arkansas went 7-6. Um, the win projection for this year is 6.15 wins, just barely over 500 based off of all those percentages from the last screen. So we are predicting Arkansas in our way too early predictions to go 6-6, just barely hitting that over from Vegas, which is currently set at 5.5, with just a very, very slight edge towards the over at minus 115 odds. But overall, very, very split from Vegas on whether or not we're going to see a 5 or 6 win Arkansas team in 2025. So, thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe as we will be updating these predictions later in the off season. So, we hope to see you then.